everyone knows that tools like AI, blockchain, and other items out there like that are having an impact on the pipeline, accounting education, and people working in the field. But what are some institutions doing in New Jersey to help us deal with all of that? This is the IssuesWatch podcast. And I'm always happy to be, on the Issues Watch podcast, hosting episodes and to really try to unpack some of the issues linked to tools like blockchain or other automation tools that are impacting education, public practice, private industry, nonprofits, tax audit, the whole gamut of folks working in accounting and the current students who are going to be joining us in the near term. And so to try to give us some inside baseball or some inside insights as to how institutions of higher education in New Jersey are trying to work with organizations like the NJCPA to help address issues like this, I'm thrilled to be joined today by Peter McNally, who who I actually had the great privilege to meet in person this past fall at a NJCPA slash Rutgers Camden conference, focusing on topics like AI and how it's impacting the world of corporate accounting, auditing, tax, and all the rest. Peter, it's a honor to have you here today.
Thank you, Sean. A pleasure to be here.
Sure. And so for our audience, just a brief introduction of you and your role down at Rutgers Camden.
Sure, thank you. So as you can see, I've actually wear two hats down at Rutgers Camden. I'm the director of their professional and executive education unit associated with the business school. That position is instrumental as we look and see that lifelong learning is such an important part of one's education and one's career trajectory, especially with all the changes happening in areas such as technology and the way business is being done. I also have the dual role of being the director of the Ragone Center for Excellence in Accounting, which is down at Rutgers School of Business in Camden. This was established about 6 or 7 years ago by a generous donation from a South Jersey businessman who started his career in the accounting industry and recognized that for helping him along and helping the next generation of accountants along, to have kind of a platform that would bring the two groups together, accounting professionals and also accounting students. Its main purposes are threefold. One is it does run events such as the one where I met Sean a couple of months ago, where we run events where we have both very topical items that we have experts in to talk about and introduce to the students, and also serves as a wonderful and rich ground for networking, where students have the opportunity to talk to professionals in the field so that they can see where their careers have the potential of going. Second piece of it is we offer scholarships to our graduate program, our online program in Masters in Accounting, where we have scholarships that will support individuals who need to continue their education and get those required credits to earn their CPA. And we'll do that in order to support folks to come down to Rutgers and consider Rutgers Camden as really a quality institution for delivering education that's required in the field. And then thirdly, for those students who do attend Rutgers University, we have a CPA test prep program. We also offer this to folks who don't come to Rutgers Camden, but we've established one on-site, literally and figuratively, for those students who are studying and preparing for the CPA. It's, I think, having developed curriculum over the years in a number of different professional services areas, we have I think, a program that's quite comparable with the programs that accounting students are familiar with, except, in the spirit of a public institution, we offer this at a very reduced rate compared to many of the programs that are out there now. Again, I think it's of comparable quality, and it does prepare students for the three legacy parts of the exam. And also, we are going to be rolling out on the next year the preparation for the BAR portion of the for the fourth piece that replaced the BEC. Also, as you can see on the slide, I've been in higher education probably only for about 9 or 10 years. I started my career in the private sector, so I bring with me a lot of the application areas where students will be going out and working in the field. And as such, have designed our programs to reflect that, and was actually recognized for that by ROI New Jersey, a leading publication in the business field here in New Jersey, as a higher education influencer back in 2023. So that's a little bit about who I am, and happy to be here and share my thoughts with you, Sean, and the folks on your podcast today.
All right, Peter, thank you so much for that introduction and background, because I also have to add in my own 2 cents here that as somebody who actually taught down at Rutgers Camden, it really is, it's a great campus, beautiful campus, and it does bring a lot of value, both on the student side and in the broader business community. So to try to unpack further, right? Obviously, the accounting pipeline is a major issue that is talked about at every conference, on every podcast, right? That has to do with accounting. And so from your angle, what's the top 1 or 2 issues driving the concern as far as the accounting pipeline goes?
So one of them is, I think, self-imposed, and one of them is more culturally or developmentally imposed. First one, which I would consider to be self-imposed, is the number of credits that it is now required to sit for CPA. If I'm a student and I have the option of going to law school or sitting for the extra credits to get an accounting degree, not that it's right, I might be more tempted to go to law school. I might be more tempted to go into a field that 5 years ago, even people would not have recognized or been able to pick out of a proverbial lineup, and that is supply chain. There are good opportunities for the types of skills that accountants have had traditionally that are now being employed and are in a much more visible, and I think initially a much more desirable and lucrative profession in supply chain. Certainly it's gotten a lot of press. A lot of people see it as being quote unquote sexy, whereas unfortunately the reputation for the accounting industry never has held that kind of esteem in the eyes of students. So I think firstly then is the additional educational requirements have turned a lot of people away from the accounting industry, and the availability of options to use those skills that traditionally were really relegated to the accounting field. The second one is technology. What is my job going to look like? This is a technology podcast. What does blockchain mean? What does AI mean? What does VR mean? What does XR mean? What does the next technology that we don't even know about mean for the accounting industry? And if you look at the kinds of skills that are required, especially for entry-level accountants, a lot of these are the types of skills that, at least in the press, if you read it and if you believe it, are skills that can be replaced by new technologies. So what does a entry-level accounting professional look like? And will there be a need for as many? Certainly AI and blockchain, AI in particular, has made the functions of entry-level and what we call the rudimentary block and tackling associated with the accounting industry, made it much more productive. So it's tougher to really define what a starting career looks like. And I think that has gotten a lot of individuals turned away from the accounting profession. What is interesting, however, is, and if I may, Sean, morph into the next question,
Sure, absolutely.
which is what can Rutgers Camden do to address these issues? I mentioned earlier the master's degree in accounting. What we are finding is that for those individuals who did attain a degree in something other than accounting, are out on the street for 2 or 3 years and are going sideways or nowhere with the degree that they have, look to their friends who did get accounting degrees and see what they're doing. And they realize that, accounting is not this big woolly thing to be afraid of. It doesn't require, calculus 22. It's really a very logic-based kind of a skill set that you can use, and a lot of transferable skills from other majors and disciplines can support a lucrative career in accounting. They see their friends who after 2 or 3 years are in positions that they never even dreamed about an accountant would enter into. So what we've done is we have established this, it's an online accounting degree, master's in accounting degree, that will take individuals that may not necessarily have, it will take both accounting majors as undergraduates, but also non-accounting major undergraduates, and provide them the accounting skills that they need so that very early on in one's career journey, one can move into and migrate into the accounting career journey, which they now can see and they now know with firsthand experience and an additional level of maturity in terms of where they want to take their career, can have a program to help and facilitate doing that. It's interesting that the program that we do have down at Rutgers is now populated by about 75% of the students are not accounting undergrads. And there is, in the credits that are associated with this degree, the accounting credits that are required to sit for the CPA exam. So we've done that. We've also made, as I mentioned earlier, we had made our CPA test prep program, I think, more affordable, same level of quality, higher value. Again, my opinion only. I'd like anybody who's interested in taking a prep course to, visit us at our website at the Ragone Center down at Camden. But it's something that, we want to make this an affordable journey for you. And by having the program associated with the Ragone Center and having the networking, that's, just invaluable for anybody looking to get into the accounting industry, which is yet another aspect of the Ragone Center. And then the scholarship. So, we think that by marrying our traditional accounting curriculum with the Ragone Center for Excellence in Accounting and with the support of the master's program that provides what we call this transition track, we're doing, I think, a great deal to support those who are interested and who need to maybe get educated about what accounting is all about, what the opportunities are, and then making it highly accessible for them.
And it honestly kind of strikes me that you and your colleagues, Rutgers Camden, are really hitting on all of the major pain points that are out there, right? Credits, people who weren't undergraduate majors, trying to make it more accessible to the online programs, and also trying to do it in a cost conscious manner, are all of the or rather are all of the obstacles that do come to mind in this whole conversation, be it credit hours, cost, time, and this idea that, well, in order to become a CPA or to be in the field, I had to have majored at the undergraduate level, which I mean is probably ideal, but it's not necessary, right? In order to pivot from industry back into an audit role or an advisory role. So all of that sounds excellent. So now, sort of honing in on, obviously we're here today on the NJCPA Issues Watch podcast. Are you able to sort of add some more context around some of the efforts and partnerships that have sort of popped up between the NJCPA and Rutgers? Because I know that I have seen and heard uh, 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 both on social media and in person a few of these things that have been happening over the last couple of years.
Sure. So and again, I've spent a great deal of time talking about the Ragone Center, but
Yes.
certainly we recognize that there are strength in numbers and there are strength in partnerships. We have with myself and my colleague down at Rutgers Camden, we've reached out to and started to nurture our relationship with the NJCPA. And the first major initiative that we joined the NJCPA with was the conference that we ran back in October, where we had three sections. One was on AI and technology, obviously very relevant. Our second was on corporate governance. This served the purpose for both students and for professionals. And then thirdly, with a direct hit on students, and that is the idea of what does it take to grow your professional brand.
Mhm.
And I mentioned earlier that accounting as a brand is not up there in kind of the top of mind for students as they go through, but there is a lot of benefits, and there are a lot of opportunities within the accounting profession that people just aren't aware of, because
Mhm.
unfortunately they come to the table with a predetermined bias that doesn't represent where the accounting industry is today. And that's one of the areas that we are working with the NJCPA to make sure that we get the word out to accounting undergrads, obviously, to participate in the NJCPA, but also to other ancillary disciplines that we have at Rutgers, and also to other institutions in the area. For example, at the conference that we ran back in October, we had students from a couple of other institutions, because we did put the word out to all of the accounting programs in the area. And that was about 15 colleges and community colleges and universities, that we're offering this free of charge. I mean, that's, as a student, not only did they get the education, they got the networking opportunities, and a free breakfast. How could you go wrong, right? So we're doing a lot of that. We're looking to do more of those kinds of efforts. Also participated with some other colleagues, and one of the beauties that Rutgers as a university and as an institution, we have networks that transcend and go well beyond just one particular area, in this case, accounting. I've established a relationship with some professionals who are at the cutting edge of AI in just general applications. And the 3 or 4 weeks after our conference with the Ragone Center, myself and two of my colleagues presented to the NJCPA the role of AI in the accounting industry. This included the new president and about 12 or 15 individuals from the NJCPA, where we hosted an information sharing session. And again, being a public institution, it's our charter to be out there and make ourselves accessible. This was something that, as a valued partner, we offered to the NJCPA as free of charge, so that we could engage them in a conversation and bring perspectives outside of the accounting industry, merge those with the perspectives inside the accounting industry, so that the NJCPA can stay on the cutting edge of where the industry needs to be thinking about, where the industry is going as it relates to AI and other technologies, blockchain technologies as well. Very
Mhm.
well received, and we had a wonderful session. I saw a lot of the proverbial light bulbs going off as we were having the conversation, and it was just a great information sharing session.
Excellent stuff there, Peter. And yes, I mean, one sort of common point that I also think is really, really important going forward is to make sure that as we're having these conversations and partnerships on tools like AI, that our conversations aren't just focused quote unquote in-house, but do include other people in different industries who are trying to also use AI. And so I do know that we had talked about earlier sort of efforts underway to update, to modernize, and to add to the current CPA offerings down at Rutgers Camden. So, are there any new ideas, programs, partnerships, or events that are in the pipeline that that you're able to talk about here today?
Sure. So one of the things that, and again, I bring the university with me. I've developed relationships across a number of disciplines. And one of the things to think about, and we haven't explored too far into this, but I've written an article. One of the areas we do a lot of work with is in Lean Six Sigma. And Lean Six Sigma is just an absolute natural fit for the accounting industry. And when we see where the country is going in terms of manufacturing, and we talk about a lot of reshoring of manufacturing that has left the shores, it's really in the interest of the accounting industry to be up to speed on what manufacturing companies are doing and how they can better service their manufacturing clients, especially as it relates to taking all the data. We talk about big data all the time, while Lean Six Sigma is just can provide a font of data. But how can the accounting industry support manufacturing as they see Lean Six Sigma and the principles and the tools related to Lean Six Sigma in the industry? So authored an article that talked a little bit, a real high level Lean Six Sigma description, but also kind of teased some ways that accounting practices and individuals can take this and integrate it into their daily practice. We are developing a program that anybody who's familiar with Lean Six Sigma knows that there are different levels. They call them belts. You have something called a white belt. I've heard of Lean Six Sigma. A yellow belt, I can do a little bit of Lean Six Sigma. Green belt, I can run a project. Black belt, I can run multiple projects or a very sophisticated project. But we're developing a specific application of Lean Six Sigma, probably somewhere between the white and the yellow belt, that will be geared towards accountants. And that
Nice.
will allow accountants to have better conversations with their clients and will allow them to provide more value to their clients, which obviously does good for one's career and also for building an individual practice. With the CPA prep courses, they've evolved over time. We now have a fully, it can be asynchronous, but it's a synchronous delivery that then is delivered through what's called a learning management system, where our instructor goes through and not atypical of a prep course, goes through the materials that are there. We use the Gleim publishing system as kind of our guidance. And then what I think is pretty neat about it is that he will also work through the problems. We record him working through the problems that he assigns so that individuals, if they get stuck, don't understand a problem, can go back and just keep hitting the rewind over and over again until they get it. And obviously, with the personalized service we like to provide, if after hitting rewind 11 times, you still don't get it, our instructor is available then to see where the disconnect may be. So, so really looking at, providing affordable, cost-effective, value-added tools to allow individuals to sit and be successful for the CPA exam. And then for those who are out practicing, to have them be more schooled in some of the tools and techniques that their clients are using. One in particular we're starting with is Lean Six Sigma, because there's a vast potential of opportunity there. And having and knowing that would be very beneficial for accountants and for building accounting practices.
I think so, and as obviously we do have some geopolitical economic, headwinds, tailwinds now sort of going back and forth, ultimately it is up to us, and it is going to help us, I would say, collectively, to be more on top of those business trends. And to your point, try to educate ourselves and to build out programs and other knowledge to help us have more in-depth sort of advisory oriented conversations with our different clients. Peter, it was an absolute blast having you on the
Well, thank
podcast
you.
here today. There really is so much opportunity out there for people who are currently working as CPAs and people who are students who are in the process of becoming a CPA, and people who coming back to the field. So I know that I'm I'm optimistic on the future, but it's always great to hear from institutions here in New Jersey doing and implementing sort of concrete steps, including partnering with the NJCPA.
Yes.
So awesome to have you here today, Peter, and I will definitely have you on again uh, in the future.
Well, it was great to be here. And if anybody wants to contact me, down at the Professional Executive Education at Rutgers Camden, you can also look at the Ragone Center. We've actually are in the process of putting up a new website there. But, we are here to serve the accounting industry. We are here to serve the economy for the state of New Jersey. That is why I go to work every day. And that's why I'm paid the proverbial big bucks to deliver on that promise. So thank you, Sean.
Well said, Peter. Absolutely. And some uh, quick housekeeping notes here. If anybody has watches the whole podcast and hasn't yet joined the NJCPA Emerging Tech Interest Groups, go and sign up right now at njcpa.org/groups. And every episode of the NJCPA Issues Watch podcast is online, obviously on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and also at njcpa.org/podcast. And for anybody who is hungry for more crypto uh, information, articles, podcasts, all the rest, all of that is at njcpa.org/hub/crypto. Thanks and have an awesome day.